You are now listening to the Motown Sports Talk podcast. Here's your hosts, Jordan and Dalton.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today is Thursday, January 14th, 2021, and we have some breaking news. The Lions have finally hired their general manager. They decided to go with Brad Holmes of the Los Angeles Rams, which I'm kind of surprised because they're still in the playoffs, so I don't know how we were able to hire him. Maybe, I don't know, with COVID and everything, maybe the protocols are a little bit different this year.
Or he is just the player personnel, so that might be why he's not like a coach or like a GM or anything.
Yeah, because like you said, he's not obviously general manager or assistant general manager. He's the director of college scouting for the Rams. He's been there since 2013, but he's been working with the Rams since 2003. So he's been there for almost 20 years. Obviously, it's not Ed Dodds, who everyone wanted, and I've been very high on Ed Dodds, but at the same time, I'm also happy that it's not Thomas Dimitroff or Rick Smith or somebody else. I'm glad we went with a younger guy, which a lot of fans don't want that. They want someone who's proven, who's been in the league and shown that they can draft well. But again, I think with Brad Holmes being the college director instead of like just the player or director of player personnel, I think he might have a little bit more insight into the actual drafting, like into the college player, but we'll see how he does with free agency. We know LA is they're really big on bringing in free agents. They obviously brought in Jalen Ramsey, brought in Ndamukong Suh. I mean, that wasn't that big, but he definitely helped them on their Super Bowl run. But yeah, the Rams, even though they haven't had a first-round pick since 2016 in the last 4 years, they still seem to draft players very well late in the either later, early second to third rounds or just mid-rounds. They tend to find a lot of really good gems such as Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson,
Cam Akers.
Yes, thank you. Look, and he's a player who really surprised me at the end of the season. He blew up when he got some more opportunities, kind of like DeAndre Swift, where they weren't really using him correctly earlier in the year, and then towards the end of the year, they just kind of wrote him out, and he shined. Dalton, how do you feel about Brad Holmes as the new general manager?
See, for me, I'm more invested in the coach than the GM because, honestly, GMs, you can't really, especially these people that haven't been proven GMs before, you can't be like, oh, he's going to be a great GM. You never actually know. And we weren't in on the interviews. We don't know what they were looking for. We don't know why they liked him so much. We don't know any of that. We don't know why they like Ed Dodds. So I am trusting in Sheila Ford and everything that they've done in all the interviews they have done.
Yeah.
And I'm trusting in that. Now, if it doesn't pan out, then I'll start getting worried about Sheila Ford being the owner and everything. But she did it the right way. They interviewed anybody and everybody that they could, that they wanted to. I'm okay with it. Only time will tell how this hire actually goes.
Exactly. As I've said before in previous episodes, you can only kind of base a general manager off the success of a team. And again, you can't even really do that because, again, with injuries and stuff like that, there's so many factors that go into it. But again, if you want to judge a general manager, look at his team's success. And as we've seen, the Rams have been successful for quite a few years. But once they got rid of Jeff Fisher and brought in Jared Goff and Sean McVay, they have been a team that competes every year. One thing that this has me concerned is their cap space situation. But again, Brad Holmes has no control over that. He's not writing the contracts. He's been the director of college scouting, so he's more just focused on the scouting reports and everything like that. He has no idea how to run cap and everything like that. So that's my one biggest concern. Again, we know LA's in a really bad cap situation right now, but I guess hopefully he can kind of learn from their mistakes and move on and be a little bit better of a cap type manager. Hopefully get some good contracts, because that is one good thing I liked about Bob Quinn is he didn't extend players that we didn't have to, and he didn't really sign or put us in like a cap purgatory. He didn't put us in we don't really have any really bad contracts on the books right now. So that's one good thing Bob Quinn did do for us. We're not obviously the best in cap space, but we're not in the worst either. So
one thing I did tell Jordan is if we have to spend a lot of money in cap, get bad cap to go to the Super Bowl, I'm taking it. As a Lions fan, I'm taking it. I don't care if we don't have cap for 3-4 years down the road. That just one Super Bowl, going to the Super Bowl, is good enough for me for at least the next 10 years.
Yes, and the biggest thing about bringing in a new general manager and new head coach after this terrible Matt Patricia era is how well are the players going to buy into the new regime with the new head coach and the new general manager. I think Brad Holmes, having him as a minority general manager, is probably a good thing because we know there's not many minority leaders in the NFL, whether it's general manager or a head coach. And if we look at the NBA and what Jeremiah Grant has said recently about why he decided to come to the Pistons, because they have a minority owner or minority be general manager and head coach, and he wanted to play for people like him. And well, you can look up the quote and stuff that he said. Yeah, so again, just something like that is something to think about. Again, depending on who we bring in as a head coach, you just want the players to buy in and support who we have as in leadership roles. So yeah, with that being said, we will kind of move on and talk about the head coaches. We do have another episode coming out, which is supposed to come out today, but we're pushing that back since it was mostly talking about general manager and head coaching candidates. So we won't go too deep into this, but again, with Brad Holmes being hired, that kind of gives us a little more indication of who we might possibly want to bring in. A lot of people are pointing towards Marvin Lewis, which I'm not too high on, but I wouldn't hate at the same time, because again, he has had a winning consistency in Cincinnati, which isn't an easy place to win at. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but then obviously it looks like Robert Salah is probably out of the mix, considering he's done 2 interviews with the Jet, and
he's gonna do 2 with the Chargers, and he's interviewing right now with the Eagles.
Yes, it's likely that he's out as the Lions head coach. I mean, it's possible we could still bring him in, but it's not looking like it now. So as of right now, it appears as though the Lions are interviewing with Todd Bowles tomorrow, and Arthur Smith is doing a second interview tomorrow as well. Him, and then I keep hearing a lot of Dan Campbell getting a lot of traction as well. So those are some possibilities.
Darrell Bevel's name also still being thrown around as a possible candidate.
I really don't think he's going to be the head coach. I think, again, we talked about this on the episode that's coming out tomorrow. I do think it's possible he retains his role as offensive coordinator and stays with the team in some type of role, but I don't think he's going to get the head coaching role. I think the team really wants to push and get another leader in there. But yeah, as of right now, it looks like kind of Arthur Smith and Dan Campbell seem to be the ones getting a lot of traction right now. Yeah, and again, as of right now, everything I've been reading seems that Arthur Smith is kind of the lead candidate as of right now. I don't know how I feel about that. I do know, obviously, we've seen Tennessee has been amazing the last couple of years. A lot of people say that has to do with Derrick Henry, which is kind of true, because when you got a beast like that in the backfield and you just ride him out. But
look at Ryan Tannehill.
I was just about to say, they resurrected his career where he looked like a complete bust in Miami. Nobody wanted him. He comes to Tennessee and everyone thinks he's a top 10 quarterback all of a sudden. So it is possible that their offensive coordinator could have some tie-ins to that success. But I guess out of those 3, whether Arthur Smith, Marvin Lewis, or Dan Campbell, who would you want out of those 3?
Probably Arthur Smith or Dan Campbell. I'm not too high on Marvin Lewis. Yeah, he had success and everything, but I don't know. He reminds me of like the whole like Jim Caldwell situation. Like, yeah, he had success, but he could never get over that hump.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I was saying about the former general managers and Rick Smith and Thomas Dimitroff, is I don't want somebody who's failed in another place, which again, that doesn't mean that they can't succeed or they can't have a successful career. I just personally, in my eyes, I would rather bring in a young guy and see what they can do, even if that means failing for the next 5 years with the general manager. But we'll see what happens. I wouldn't say I'm excited about Brad Holmes, but again, I'm also not completely opposed to it. I'm not upset, as I see a lot of fans already are pissed off that we didn't get Ed Dodds, which again, I would have preferred Ed Dodds, but Brad Holmes is a good, young, up-and-coming talent evaluator.
Like I said, none of us were in on the interviews.
Exactly.
None of us know what was asked, what was said, what was talked about. None of us know. Maybe Ed Dodds went in there and just had a terrible thing and said, like, oh, this whole thing needs to be blown up. Everyone needs to be traded, got rid of, like, clean house, completely reset the team.
Exactly. And that's something that
Sheila Ford was like, yeah, no, I don't know if I like where that, like, even Rod Woods has came out and said he doesn't think this team's a full rebuild. He thinks it's just a retool of the defense and everything.
Exactly.
So
we have no idea where Sheila or Chris Spielman or Barry Sanders are at with the team. Like, we don't know if they're, again, look, like you just mentioned, if they're looking for somebody to rebuild the team or if they're looking for someone to help us get us back into contention again. Maybe I'm just an optimistic Lions fan, but we've talked about it before. And again, our episode coming out tomorrow, we'll discuss it a little bit more, but maybe we aren't as far away from contention as we think. I'm not saying a Super Bowl win, but I definitely think that in our division, in the NFC, that we are a little bit closer than some people think.
I mean, look, the Bears made the playoffs this year.
Exactly. And do you really think that the Bears are a better team than the Lions? Yes, their defense is better. I'll give you that.
Oh, yeah.
But overall
their offense and their quarterback and everything, no.
Yeah, I see a lot of people already freaking out because he's just the director of college scouting that people are like, why does he deserve to be a general manager and blah, blah, blah. But again, he's been with the Rams since 2003. He knows what he's doing. And even though he's just scouting, again, this comes down to draft picks, where we haven't had the best drafts, but we haven't had the worst drafts either. So hopefully he can help us identify some late round talent and find another like Kenny Galladay late in the draft again. All right, I guess that's going to do it for us. Want to thank everyone for tuning in again, and we'll see you again next time.